1,000 victims of last year's Las Vegas massacre are now facing a new injustice they probably never thought possible. They're actually being sued. The lawsuit is being brought by, of all places, the MGM Resorts, which owns the Mandalay Bay Hotel from where Stephen Paddock committed the mass shooting. Joining us to explain how this is even possible is Brian Claypool, survivor of the Las Vegas shooting and an attorney representing a number of the victims of the massacre. Brian, this is so wild on so many levels. We've already gone through frankly, the lack of security, lack of responsiveness, officers standing out in the hallway. They should have gone in when Paddock was up to his, evil acts. But now they're being sued to survive. What is the legal theory? I'd sanction the lawyers filing this suit, by the way. What's the legal theory?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me back, Laura. I mean, how deep in the swamp does MGM want to jump? How far in the gutter do they want to go? And how low do they want to kick victims like myself and other survivors? So what they're trying to do is use what's called the Safety Act. It was a law put in place by our federal government in 2002 that basically says if companies hire out a security company that's rubber stamped by the Department of Homeland Security, that basically what MGM's saying is they're immune from any liability that results if there is a terroristic act. The problem with that theory, number one, is remember our old friend Sheriff Lombardo. He's come out and proclaimed 1 million times on TV that this was not a terroristic act. Yeah, this is not. So that's their first hurdle. They got to prove this is terrorism. They said it wasn't. The second hurdle they have that nobody's talking about is even if a judge somehow says this was terrorism and the Safety Act applies, they have to prove that the security system they had in place was effective and had social utility. Well, gee whiz, guess what? 58 people died and hundreds were injured, so it wasn't real effective.
I still don't think we know very much about this attack. I mean, this mass killing. I mean, we've seen videos released sporadically. Brian, why did it take so long to release the hallway video? That hallway video that came out a couple of weeks ago, that just is wild to me. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if I were, that would make me think that's odd. Like, why didn't we see the check-in video earlier? Why didn't we see anyone coming and going into his room earlier? Like, what took so long?
It's pretty simple. They don't want you to know. They don't want your viewers to know. They don't want the world to know how hapless their security was leading up to that shooting. So what do? Instead of spending money on shoring up their security and making sure this doesn't happen again, they spend millions of dollars hiring out $1,000 an hour lawyers to file frivolous lawsuits to try to get out of the case on a legal basis so that the whole community and a set of jurors will never hear the evidence that we all want to hear to make positive change.
Now, will the judge in pretrial motions allow for discovery on whether or not this was a terrorist act? Going to have to, right? I mean, the judges are always very lenient on discovery.
That's a great question because but here's my theory. I think MGM filed the wrong kind of lawsuit. They shouldn't have filed what's called a declaratory relief action. What that is, Laura, is they're asking a judge to make a...
No, I'm just kidding. Brian, we're out of time, but we'll have you back on radio.
No problem.
Unbelievable story, and we'll be right back.